What's going on, guys? Before I get started on the coilover review, we got a few parts we're going to change up and install on the CRX today. We have a track event in 2 days, and it's going to be our final track event of the year. This car has been to 4 events so far. This will be the 5th event. And it hasn't been a ton of miles I've put on the coilovers. It's only been about 6 months. But once we get out there and get some footage, I'll get back home. I'm going to remove the coilovers. We're going to take a look at all of them, see if any are leaking, see what they look like, what kind of condition they're in. And I'll give you my final opinion and review on these Max Speeding Rod coilovers. And that wraps the CRX up for this year. It has now survived the 5 events at Arroyo Seco Raceway. We had 1 in June, 2 in August, 1 in September, and that last one you just saw a couple bits from, that was November 23rd. It's done well. It has gotten a little bit faster every single time with the additional mods. Now those braking mods made the biggest difference from the last video I made on this car when I was out there running it for a full day and just kind of seeing how it felt. The brakes feel super solid now, and the car doesn't seem so sketchy anymore. Same with that 40/40 valve that we replaced. I think that definitely made a difference also. So I'm gonna remove the coilovers really quickly. We're just gonna take a really quick look at them and see what kind of condition they're in. And so I got the passenger side removed, and with the exception of them just being dirty, I don't see any issues. Everything looks fine in terms of the fork for the back, both the cups for the front and rear. The little rubber isolator in here obviously is cracking. I think that's gonna be natural with any rubber isolator that's in there. The rear never had one, just has a little metal sleeve like this one also. But other than that, there's really nothing wrong with them. These are still, of course, 5K and 8K spring rates. There's no signs of leaking on mine whatsoever. Now, that seems to be an issue with a lot of other people that have bought these. From looking at the last video and reading a lot of the comments, I didn't bother removing these sides. I just wanted to take a look, and I can see in here there's nothing wet, no signs of any oil leaking from the damper itself, and I just wanted to save myself the work of having to remove these also. But yeah, with the exception of them just being dirty, that's about it. Now, I live in the desert, guys. We don't see snow, we don't see any crazy amounts of rain. This car doesn't sit outside any longer, so that might be an issue for some of these. But on some of the comments I've read with them being exposed to road salts and corrosion, that these get locked up. But I think that's just going to happen naturally. It can happen with any coilovers with these getting locked up. But I don't have that issue, and I drove about 1,200 miles on these coilovers only, back and forth to the track 5 times, and then the miles we put on at the track, a little bit around town. So a little less than 1,200 miles over the course of 6 months. So it's not a huge indicator of performance, but driving with these on a track, it's pretty aggressive. And then some of the offs that we've had have been pretty rough, going through the dirt. Just the way my dad's spun out a few times. And some people are saying that that's not really testing them out, but I beg to differ, because that driving is far more aggressive than any driving you think you could do on a little turn in your neighborhood or whatever. So I think they've been decently put to use, and they've performed well. Now, would I buy them again for another track car? Probably not, if I want to be competitive. I think they're a little too soft for that, but these are solid for your everyday driver. If you just want to have a little bit of fun. I think we're still going to leave these on this car, and we're going to continue it next year as my dad continues getting better. As you saw in the video, his hand placement is much better, and he was a lot smoother driving this car. So I think for someone that's learning, these are great. They're inexpensive. If you could essentially buy like 3 sets of these for the price of 1 decent set of coilovers. Like even a Function 4 brand new, I think it's like $500 or $600, or some Skunk 2 baseline coilover setups, another $600. So if you're bitching and moaning about them like falling apart, you know, it's gonna happen. It's not like some well-known brand that's been made. They're obviously trying to develop something that have a ton of applications, and maybe in the future we'll see this is a brand that's something that turns into something great. Who knows? It could go either way depending on what the company decides to do in terms of developing these, trying to build better dampers. Springs, you know, you can't really build anything better than that. If they have a correct spring rate and they are what they say they are, you're good to go. I've used different spring rates from different companies, and As long as those are okay, I think we won't have an issue with that. But maybe we'll see them continue to become a better company. Who knows? They might not, but it's always great seeing something different and relatively inexpensive, especially, you know, a lot of EF guys. They don't have a lot of money, they don't like to spend a lot of money on their cars, or they're just starting out, and it can sometimes be difficult trying to afford the most expensive part. And if you're not really at that stage, like, this might be something for a lot of those people starting out, just want to get their car lowered, but it's way better than cutting springs or just using some like eBay coils on a stock shock. So that's what I think about these guys. Definitely great for someone starting out. If you're just learning how to modify your car, want something inexpensive that's not going to break the bank and still going to perform well, these are definitely for you. We've had no issues with the 5 seasons of the track. But thanks guys for watching the video. I hope this helps you guys in determining whether or not you want to buy them for your specific application. And thanks again to Max Speeding Rods for sponsoring me the set of coilovers. And I almost forgot the adjustment for the damper itself. Like, I went and double checked on mine. I have no issues with mine. They click and all 4 of them move smoothly. And that had been an issue with a couple people that I've talked to with this one, just either spinning freely or not even moving at all. So that's another thing that I have had no issues with on my particular set of coilovers. And if you're interested in seeing other Max Speeding Rods products, these are the splitter brackets that they create. These are made for the EGs and DC Integras, but I'm actually using a set of PCI ones on my track car over there, the white one. So I think I'm gonna mount these the exact same way as I did in that video, where I'm gonna riv nut them to the outside of the chassis, because with how the subframe bar hangs on here, you can't use it. But they sent me out a pair of these, and I'm gonna try them out on the CRX, make a splitter for this car, just try to make it a little more aggressive, and also give a little review. These seem solid so far, but if you wanna see that video, tune in sometime in the spring. That's when I'll get to work on these and have it finished up. We'll see you guys next time.
Mm.